Hey everybody!
Hey!
Welcome to today's Canada Day version of the Epic Hour. So we got some fun toys.
Yeah. Oh, Canada!
So we'll just leave it a little bit so that people can check into the thing.
Sorry.
I can't get this under. Can you push this up a bit?
We're just trying to. There we go. Now we got it.
Okay.
We're organized now.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're hoping that we'll have quite a few people on today because I know there's a lot of people that are at home or they are not working. And
because it's a special day.
Yeah.
It's Canada's birthday, which is very special. I forget how many hundreds of years we are old, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I should have looked that up. I thought it was 135 or something.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. But 153? Is it 153? Okay,
all right.
153.
There we go.
There we go.
We got educated right now, right here live.
She's an old one. I guess.
Yeah, right.
Been around the block a couple times. But so thanks for joining us. And it looks like we got 8 people on so far. And then we're going to get up and running even more. So don't forget, we want you guys to be able to chat and ask questions. Again, we're here for you guys. We want to be as interactive as possible. So yeah.
And this one's going to be a great topic. We get so many questions on this, creative financing. Honestly, I think people make creative financing way more difficult than it needs to be.
Agreed.
It's just literally thinking outside the box. People forget a contract is just 2 people agreeing to a set amount of terms, and everybody will follow through with those terms. That's it. And I think this is where people get just off topic and how can you do that? It's not written here. Well, see this pen, add it, right? So
add, omit,
whatever.
Change,
whatever. So we'll cover a lot of that stuff as we go through examples and all kinds of ideas and honestly, our whole company was founded on creative financing. It's the be all end all, especially if people are looking to work with other people's money. OPM, again, this is an amazing tool for you to utilize to make that happen.
Totally.
Yeah. Are you making us big?
I'm trying. I don't know these things.
We're staring at Epic Alliance instead of us, so we can't see what we're doing. We could be cross-eyed right now. Oh, look, there we are.
Okay, sounds good. So it looks like we're at 10 people. So yeah, we may as well just get started. Yeah, it's fun today. We even have props. So yeah, I love kind of things like this where you get to go to the dollar store and just have fun. So,
yes.
And we actually have some people in the field today who are dressed up, and we're going to have pictures we're going to share on social media later today. And actually, interesting fact, we are going to be celebrating the stat with our staff on the 3rd. So we actually did a vote, I believe, and if people wanted to move the holiday to Friday so that they could get an actual bona fide long weekend, that can happen. So that's what everybody chose to do.
Yep.
So fun times. Everybody can dress up for Canada Day.
See, creative finance isn't just about money. Creativity.
Yeah. So, when people tell you things are impossible or you can't do that, really just check yourself and remember that whoever you're taking advice from, make sure that you know that they've done this and that they actually can prove to you that it can or cannot be done. Yeah. Because we get people telling us all the time, you can't buy a house with $1 deposit. We're like, really?
I just did 3 of them literally the end of last week.
Exactly. And it's like, that's our MO for private sales. And oh, you can't get a vendor or a seller to hold a mortgage for you. That doesn't happen. You can't go and, find people who want to be the bank and hold financing for millions of dollars worth of real estate. Apparently you can, because that's what we did
all day long.
But, again, just make sure you're listening to the right people who've actually done what you're talking about. And the people who are the haters or the naysayers, just let them be. There's so many trolls out there, and honestly, just let them troll and, spread their haterade somewhere else. It's just not worth it.
It's not.
So let's just talk about what is the definition of creative financing.
Yes, 100%. Give her.
So basically, it's just the idea of financing is traditional financing is you go to a bank, you would get a mortgage or a loan, you do whatever terms they tell you based on your credit score, and then at the end of the day, you walk away with whatever little things in their box terminology and their parameters that they choose to lend you the money on. But what creative financing really is taking that box and like crumpling it up and chucking it out the window.
Doesn't exist.
Right? There is no box. You literally create your own terms based on whoever is lending the money and whoever's borrowing the money. And that's where magic happens, because at the end of the day, we always look at, for us, we're listening to what people are looking for. Again, it's why we're able to control $90 million worth of real estate and counting right now, because we listened to people and we created what we felt was a gap missing in the marketplace. And that's really what we've done. So any terms that you can make to put together for financing, that's in my definition, creative financing.
Absolutely. It's just, it's in the title. It's just getting creative with the direction of the financing you need to make the opportunity happen. That's it. It's really, like I said, a lot of people want to make it to be this big thing where you need to be like up here in education and all kinds of things. But it honestly, for me, I really find it's like the common sense for me of financing, to be honest with you, because it never made sense to me that everything should have to fit in this nice little box or this lane, even if it doesn't work for the parties involved, right? I was like, well, what's the point then, right? Whereas with creative financing, it's about making the financing terms and everything work for the parties involved. So to me, that's not even creative. That should just be standard practice, but whatever. Yeah. In the world, I get to write.
So how E.P.I.C uses creative financing. So for us, we really had to kind of streamline, because there was so much creativity. It was just like people would bring us an issue or a problem or something that they saw as a roadblock. And we were like, why don't you do this, this, or this? And they're like,
what?
I can do that?
Yeah.
And we're like, well, can you get the seller to agree to those terms?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, then present it to them. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I think that so many people are so worried about hearing the word no or being rejected. Mm-hmm. Who the hell cares?
Right?
Who cares? What's the worst that anybody's going to tell you? Yeah. If you propose a question or an opportunity, the worst you're going to hear is no. Mm-hmm. Who cares? You move on to the next person, you try it all over again. Yep. But for those snowflakes that are in our world, and there's a lot of them, if you're that person, don't even be in real estate investing. Please, for the love of God, don't try to do this. If you don't have thick skin and you don't have the way to be basically able to go in and structure your negotiations properly, you're going to get eaten alive. Yeah. Right? Again, got to go back to the basis of win-win scenarios, listening to what people are wanting, and then offering them a solution. And if they say no because they feel that's not a good solution for them, either go back to the drawing board or let the deal go and move on to the next.
That's right.
There's so much opportunity in our world, and it's just a matter of really finding it and then creating it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
If you get hung up on using a lot of verbiage of things like, well, some people will think this isn't right, or some people won't like this idea. Who are these some people, and who cares? Okay. Like, honestly, this is just my 2 cents. Who cares? Okay. As long as the two parties that are involved are going to win from this opportunity, are happy with how things are going to go, we're good. Obviously, you don't want to break any actual laws, but I mean, everything can be written into a contract to make things happen. Right? So, I mean, again, just listen to that. Like, who are you listening to? Who are you taking guidance from? And sometimes you need to ask another person, for the right kind of person, for their 2 cents on it too, right? Like, people will call us all the time and say, hey, I'm looking at this. Literally, we were just in a meeting over some business things coming up, and the person sitting beside me is going, you guys need to come. I want you to look at this, because every time you guys come, there's always something extra that gets thrown into as an idea or a possibility of what this project or this property could be.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said, you guys look at things from such a different light, that he's like, I've learned so much from you girls, because it's just the way you look. And I think, again, that goes back to our entrepreneurial wiring. And that's why for us, you know, I always talk about that journey to $1 billion. When we get to $1 billion, I'm going to be 40 and I am retiring retiring from the day of the business, right? And it's not because I don't love what I do. It's because I honestly have so much passion for so many other seed projects and ideas, and really the sky's the limit.
Yep.
And I know that once we've made all the foundations in place and we've brought on the right team members, everything is so well systemized, it'll just keep growing organically. And I don't need to be the one at the helm doing it, and neither does Alisa. And so that's where we just have so many big ideas. Like our journey to $1 billion is just step one, honestly, in what's going to be the kind of our world takeover. And I don't say that egotistically. We've been saying that since day one.
Absolutely. Take over Saskatoon and then the world.
Exactly. And so some people are like, oh, that's really ambitious. I'm like, cool.
It is.
It definitely is. But is it realistic? Some people say no. We say it is, right? So, I mean, and we're not doing it on a harsh way.
Some people we don't listen to.
Right. And we're not doing it in an egotistical, harsh way. We're doing it in that way that we want to literally create such a big ripple effect that, I'm not having children, but our family's legacies are still, getting that ripple effect of the work we're doing now. That's what we're working so hard for. And, seeing how that ripple affects into other people's lives too.
And the other foundation behind that ripple effect is that it keeps rippling even when we're long and gone, right? Like just all those pieces, right? We're creating something that is such a win-win for investors and the products and everything out there that it should go for eons and eons. And we're excited about that, to set that up and be the start of that.
The other thing to keep in mind with the whole idea of our creative financing. So for us, honestly, we've done like so many things. When it comes to creative financing and residential real estate, we've pretty much done it all. We've done agreement for sales. We've done vendor takebacks. We've done rent to owns, whether we were the buyer or whether we were the seller. We have done, again, agreement for sales in the States is called subject to. It's the same thing and same strategy. We've done, again, owner financing. There's so many different ways, like, again, creativity. But the biggest thing about us that people may be missing is that we have not and will not go to the bank for any financing. So we honestly work with our investors who do go to the bank to get financing in order for us to get control. And it's interesting because some people will say, well, with your fund to flip opportunities, you're paying your investors a 10% annual rate of return. If you went to the bank, you could get regular traditional financing and pay maybe like 3 to 5%. Why don't you do that? And why don't we do that, Alisa?
Number one, the banks don't work as fast as we need to go. Number one, everybody's heard the term banking hours. Okay, E.P.I.C doesn't run on banking hours. It doesn't work. Okay, is number one. Number two is there's a cap. The bank will only ever, no matter who you are, give you so much money, right? By us partnering with our investors the way we are, it's like in each one of them, we have a banking opportunity. Okay. That's why we won't go through traditional banking.
The other side of it too, with the traditional bank, is they want you to put some money down.
Yeah.
We don't put money into our deals. Our investors fund everything. Why? And why would our investors fund the whole deal? Right? It's because with us, we bring the systems, the teams, and the knowledge. We're the ones doing all of the active side of the thing. So our investors feel that that is an equal partnership. So they bring the cash or credit, we bring all of the other things. And that is where the partnership is really formed and bonded. And it's obviously working because we have a wait list of new clients transferring money over to Olympia to get their money out of the stocks and, moving cash and whatever their situation might be. And so it's something that's going to continually evolve. But at the end of the day, we put zero of our own dollars into our actual deals. And so this is what makes us really unique. So the $90 million worth of real estate that we control right now, again, we put zero of our own dollars in. So as we continue growing, the goal is to eventually get to controlling $1 billion worth of residential real estate with zero of our own dollars. Because as far as I know, and I've researched, I don't know any other company that is doing that. I know people who are doing that in the multifamily or the commercial space, but I don't know anybody doing that one little house at a time. So that's where, again, we, sometimes point ourselves as disruptors of residential real estate, because really it's changing the game, man. We're literally rewriting the Saskatoon market right now. And it's interesting to see people talking and having their own opinions of what's actually happening, because they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. They just like to have their haterade and, have their own opinions and such.
With some people.
Yeah. Again, we have no room in our world for the some people, but yeah. So people who understand what's happening, they're just like, I just want to be part of this. Let's make this all happen. So for us, what we had to do, because we were so creative when we first came out of the gate, because again, we took the residential real estate investing training, we learned how to do all these creative deals and flip and, you know, rent to owns and all these different things. So at the end of the day, we really had to realize that we had to hone it in. And that's why we decided to stick with our 2 investment opportunities. And they're still incredibly creative within those 2 sides. But we have the fund flip, which is essentially where investors work with us as private money lenders, which is a pretty common term when you get into the world of real estate investing. And then the other side, which is our proprietary. Proprietary means that you cannot do what we do, guys. Okay. So if you think you're going to go out and try and run your own hassle-free rental program or hassle-free landlord program, you're poorly mistaken if you don't think that we're going to come after you, because that is not allowed. Okay. So just watch yourselves if you're in that space or you try to mock what we're doing. It's proprietary. We own it. So going forward, we are running the hassle-free landlord program, and we are going to turn around and make sure that that is our niche. Again, we talk about it all the time. We just twisted a traditional rent-to-own contract.
We creatively created the program from a boxed scenario. That's it. Back to creative finance.
Yeah. So could somebody try and do what we did there? Yes. They just can't use our marketing, and they can't use our systems of what we worked really hard to create. And again, we always make sure that all of our investors are covered. And so that's why we have no intent of ever eventually franchising it or anything like that. We control all of it because we always want to make sure our investors are getting what they signed up for.
For sure.
Yeah.
So,
question.
Joelle, has E.P.I.C considered doing seller financing for their HFLP houses, earning a little extra on the sale of your inventory?
There's no need.
No.
Because for us, we want to work with our investors who are going to be the financing. So I don't want to be the bank.
No.
There's no interest there. Again, when people like, we get thrown like awesome, like great opportunities all the time where people are like, look, you guys have a big brand. You can do this. And then we can get other people, we can get this other stream of income. I'm like, dude, if it takes away from our journey to $1 billion, I'm not having any of it.
No.
None of it.
No.
None.
Not for a few years.
Because literally we are so focused by making sure that we get to our journey to $1 billion. And that is incredible, guys. Right now we're at 90 million, right? We need to make sure that, okay, next year the clock restarts, and then, you know, it'll be another 120 million. And then from there, that next year it goes to 250 million. Then from there, $500 million. $500 million. And then from there, we hit our journey to $1 billion. The crazy side of this is we're actually trying to cut off a year, because again, I talk about this all the time, but I'm retiring in 2.5 years. And I selfishly want to hit the $1 billion before we do that.
Yeah.
Right? Those are really aggressive goals. So it's great that there's a million other opportunities out there, but we really need to stay channeled into the focus of the journey to $1 billion. Once we get there, then we can talk about all the other things.
Yeah. It makes sense. So how more into how we use creative financing. So some actual details would be the registered funds. That's a big way to get creative with real estate. Our ninja flip of the TFSA and the percentages that we utilize with the TFSA, working with the registered funds or cash, whatever you're pairing it against. I mean, that right there is the definition of creative financing, okay? It's taking multiple components so you can get the best investment opportunity for that investor. It literally is that. And what are we gaining from that? We're gaining the property so that we can turn around, renovate it, put a tenant into it, and sell it and make that gap or that gain, right? There it is. That is creative finance as an example in our business right there. Right?
Yep. And we have some people, we actually right now are actually mentoring some of our friends. They're getting into their first houses. They had come to us and they said, hey, I really want to get into real estate. I have very limited funds. How do I get into it and make the best use of my money? Right? So again, we go back to their scenario. What are you working with? What are you looking for? What are your goals? Yeah. Once we know that, and again, I'm not saying we offer this for other people. These are people who have worked really closely with us. And so we always want to really help people who are in our circle. And that's how we try to give back as best we can. But for these people, we said, what are you working with? So they're first time home buyers. So we said, buy your first house with 5% down and get CMHC or Genworth mortgage financing. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay for the mortgage insurance, but they roll it into the mortgage.
Yeah.
Who cares?
That's right. Especially right now with interest rates,
It's
what they are, mortgage
ridiculous.
rates. Like,
free money, guys.
free
money. So if you can buy a house, and again, my advice is always to buy something suited, because you could live in the one suite and rent out the other suite. And generally that other suite's going to pay for your entire mortgage. So you're either going to get to live very cheaply or affordably, or you can just take that extra money, still pay your mortgage as normal or whatever, and sock it away in a bank account to save up for your next house. And we call this our little cheat sheet to getting a lot of properties quickly. We call it our 5 houses to freedom. So if you live in that house for a year or more, then essentially you could outgrow that property and you could actually qualify for a little bit of a bigger house or in a better neighborhood. You got to step it up a bit.
Yeah. So you're not starting with a $500,000 house. You're going to start where it's reasonable. So in Saskatoon, like to get a 2-suiter, that'd be like 200,000, 250,000. You'd be able to get something.
Yep. So again, you live in there for a year, whether you want to rent out your spare rooms too, you can really house hack to the nines. It's up to you how basically string on a shoe budget you want to live type thing or whatever, and how much you want to turn your house into a cash flowing machine. So those are options you can choose to do. Or even if you just stay in a single family, that's totally fine too. But the essence is you stay there for a year, then you go and qualify for another mortgage after the first year, because you're stepping up because you outgrew that property, and you can actually move into that property, buy a new property, get pre-approved for a mortgage with 5% down again. And you can actually turn your original house into a rental property. Most people don't know this is a thing, because in society, a lot of people have this misconception that you can only ever qualify for your first house with 5% down. That's a myth, guys.
Sure is. Talk to a mortgage broker if you don't believe us.
It's a fallacy. Yeah. And again, if you find a mortgage broker who doesn't understand this strategy, then please reach out and we can put you in touch with mortgage brokers who actually understand getting ahead with mortgages.
100%.
But yeah, and honestly, if you're really good with your story, you could potentially over 5 to 10 years do that up to 5 times.
Right. Now you feel like you've been Canadianly educated, right? Right there. Right there.
So, again, just because somebody told you that that's not possible does not mean that's a fact. So if you're going to be learning from people who are in real estate, make sure that they're actually doing big things in real estate. And just because somebody sold one house as a realtor does not make them an educated source. So be careful who you take your advice from.
Yes, 100%. So we kind of touched on this question, how to leverage your first house to gain multiple properties in the future. We did touch on that.
That's one way.
That's one way where you're like literally like living in a property for a while, selling it, whatever. But if you say you didn't want to live with others, and that is some people, that's whatever. The other option is don't go buy your $500,000 house right now either. Buy one that you know you can stay in for 5, 6, 7 years, right? And if there's a way, one, you can make extra payments on your mortgage. A lot of people don't even know that's a thing, that you can actually make extra payments on your mortgage. A lot of them, you have to read your contracts, but some of them will say like as much as 20% against your mortgage. Annually, right? And so with that, I mean, even making 2 extra mortgage payments, the amount, go play with a mortgage calculator, go do it. Go see the ripple effect of that leveraging capability, just because that money goes straight to your principal, right?
Yeah. The other hack with that one too is if you switch from not paying monthly payments, but paying weekly payments. So just by switching to weekly payments instead of monthly, you actually cut 3 to 5 years off of your entire 25 or 30-year amortization. That's something that a lot of people don't know. When I actually used to work at a bank in my former life, I used to always encourage all of my clients to pay by weekly payments. And it's interesting how many people were like, oh no, I can't afford that. It's the same amount of money. Okay. It's just that, yes, you have to be able to budget.
Yeah.
You have to be able to life, guys. Come on. I've paid on a weekly basis since I was 20, just honestly, because I made sure the money was in the account and it would just come out weekly. And it literally cuts years off of your mortgage. And why? Because of the way the mortgages compound. They're not like a simple interest loan. And that's why if you go look at an amortization calculator, put your numbers in there. It's shocking. You can actually have paid for your house 5 times over by the time you figure out what your actual interest is compared to what you actually put into it and all that kind of stuff. It is cheap money because it is a low interest rate, but because of the long amortization amount, it's actually expensive. So anything you can do to put extra payments into it to bring the money down or the payments down or the long-term interest down, it's a big deal. So these little hacks really do change the way the gameplay is played.
So the other thing is, once you've turned around and made these few extra payments and you've also been making your regular payments, now back to that 5%, you can still hold that single family home, rent it, and upgrade to another house. That is still a possibility. The other option is you can pay down enough that you could turn around and also, for example, work with our program, the Hassle-Free Landlord Program. Once you have enough equity in there to turn around and buy a rental property through our program, right? So there's another way to be creative with your financing. Do not, the poorest mindset and the poorest thing you can do is get into a house and all you want to do is pay it off and then do nothing with it. The bank loves you. The one that's even worse than that, though, is to go get a line of credit just to buy an item.
Yeah.
And when I say an item, I'm talking about a car, a kitchen, those things. You need to take that line of credit. You worked years, decades to get what you got in that home. Now it's your turn to work with the bank or utilize the bank, whatever, or use them, however you want to word it, so that you can earn even more from what you saved. You turn around and you put it into something that will make you money, whether that's one of our programs or do your research and you work with other programs or other options out there to take that line of credit. Seriously, look at it. That is cheap money right now. 3-4% right now for a line of credit on your house. And I'm not saying go, maximize your house. Even if you pay down, say you have a $200,000 house, okay? Paid outright, okay? Oh my gosh. Even if you got a $50,000 line of credit in our program with that kind of money, roughly what they'd be making? Over $600 a month cash flow?
It depends on how you invest it. Right? I don't have my phone on.
No, but the HFLP.
So I'm not going to run numbers, but I'm just saying, if you are going to borrow your money, right, at 2.5%, because it's secured by real estate, and then turn around and make 15% annual rate of return. So don't forget, you get to actually write off the interest payment because it's coming from borrowed funds. So it's kind of a wash, but then you turn around and you're making 12.5 to 13% on your money because you're actually being smart and leveraging it properly. Guys, whoa. Is that not a game changer?
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. So at the end of the day, our call to action as always, if you're interested in changing up your financial future and being smarter with investing in real estate, book in a discovery session phone call. And we're not the only places to invest your money. There's lots of other places that are, they're doing private money lending and whatever. Yeah. But at the end of the day, just knowing that there's a different way. And if all your money right now is in the stocks or in the banks, I implore you to wake up and figure out that there is a better, more strategic way to invest. And again, if it's not a great fit working with us, that's fine, but get into real estate, whether you want to be active or whatever you choose to do. So at the end of the day, those are your decisions, but just start learning, just educate yourself, because it's honestly those people that are being woke to the fact that there's a different way, a new reality of investing and taking your financial power back instead of just handing it over to somebody blind with blind trust and assuming that they have your best interests at heart. Because I guarantee you, if you've got a financial planner, they have their best interests at heart.
Oh yeah.
And yours is secondary to their needs. And again, if you're a financial planner, I don't mean to be rude or to be aggressive or whatever. I'm just spouting reality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 100%.
and then at the end of the day, the one other thing that is a good hack, if you're starting with a smaller amount, but you're handy, buy a distressed property or buy something that's livable, but something that you can improve over time. Even if you just lock it in for a 1-year mortgage or a 2-year mortgage and you do that work over time, so you force the value, then generally you could refinance the property to pull some equity out, or you could flip that house. And if it's your principal residence, it's the only house you own, and you live in it for a year or more and you flip it, you actually don't get taxed on capital gains because you lived in it and it was your principal residence. Come on, guys. If you did not know that and you're handy, what are you doing?
Right? Big time. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when people come at us and bring their excuses about why they're not getting ahead and why they're so hard up and whatever, don't come at us with that shit. Come at us with what you've got and then what you're capable of, what your skill set is, because we all have different strengths and different weaknesses. And then at the end of the day, I bet you we could give you a solution that would work. Again, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take work. So if you're expecting a silver bullet or, you know, a get rich quick
magic pill
doesn't exist. You're going to have to hustle for it.
You do. Yeah. And that's, again, back to what Rochelle was saying, like when she's talking about snowflakes, what she's referring to is that if you know you and you know that when you're on that 9th hour or like at your wit's end, you're the one that's going to fold like a cheap tent, then it's not for you. Don't like, so many people get drunk on the idea of I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to get the car and I'm going to live that lifestyle and I'm just going to make a ton of money on the internet and all the things. And I mean, can that be done? Absolutely. But I'm telling you right now, for everyone that's successful out there, if they truly came from nothing, there were years and years and hours and seconds of blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. And if you're somebody that can't cope with that or cannot fathom that much work, then be real. There's nothing wrong. Nobody should come after you for, if your passion is to be, hey, you know what? I want to be the best store manager there is. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to run a store like a boss and that you love what you do, that's what this is about, okay? Not going into some grandiose thoughts that, hey, you know what? I'm going to be this because that's, you know, what everybody thinks I should be, right? It ultimately, you have to do this because you love it.
Totally. Right? Yeah. And for us, this is why we're trying to attract people who are just really on a mission to live their best lives. And again, if your best life is not basically being an active real estate investor, that's why we're here. Yeah. Because that's what we bring. That's what we and our systems and our teams do. And so we'd love to pair with you so that you can live your best life, whatever that might be. But again, if you are interested in being a full-time real estate investor, that's great. And if there's some way we can support you in that, we'd love to be able to do that too. Again, we don't coach or mentor, but we know really great coaches and mentors. And if we know what you're looking for, we can always direct you to people who might be a good fit. Because there's a lot of people that are really schemy and scammy out there too. And there's a lot of people who are, and I hate to say it, but unethical. And it's really shitty when you pay a lot of money to somebody and then you don't get what you thought you were going to get. And so then you're further behind than you even started with. So
again, the foundation of creative financing just comes down to the win-wins, figuring out what that person, investor, product owner, whatever, what is it they're truly needing? Okay, because it's not always about the money. Actually, more times than not, it is not about the money. It's about something else going on, right? When we buy houses, I go in all the time and I look around, and now I can recognize so many stories, like just from looking at a property. It's like, you know what? There's nobody here. That this is a house that the parent has moved on, and all 4 of the kids or 3 of the kids don't live in this province. They need it to be gone now. They don't know what to do with all the items in the house. They need it to be gone now. And you know what? I can come in and I can go, hey, you know, all this stuff you got here, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. We'll find it homes. Anything we can rehome, we will do that. Anything that can be recycled will be recycled, all those things, right? And that alone, the value in that when you offer that to somebody, makes creative financing happen overnight, right? They will work with you. That, you know, the minute you can start kind of
solving
their
problems. That's
problems,
what you're
pairing
doing.
your solutions to their problems. That it's the game changer. That is the foundation of creative financing. Everybody thinks creative financing is all about the money, right? And all about going and getting more money or those kinds of things, or getting money from sneaky areas. That has nothing to do with creative finance. Creative finance is being a boss negotiator and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. That is all it is. I mean, people look at our offer to purchases all the time. They're like, what? You wrote what? Like, what is this about? Hey, this is what we had to do. Hey, again, it goes back to another one, buying properties. Do you know how many properties we buy and the homeowner stays for another 30 days? You know what? COVID hit. You know, and all I kept hearing is, well, we're thinking about selling, but what do we do in the meantime? We don't really know. We don't know what's out there. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just buy your house? You can stay for the cost of utilities here for 30 days, figure it out. You know what? Now your mortgage is paid off, your leveraging capabilities, all of that has changed. And 30 days, now you've got a lot of things you can figure out. And it goes over and over and over.
It's interesting too, because some of those people, the reason that they need the cash out of the deal is because they want to move into a different property, but their property, maybe they put an offer on another house that they really want, but it might be contingent on their house selling. Mm-hmm. Well, if their house is already sold and they can transition into that new property at their own leisure, there's value in that.
Changer.
How much would you pay for that?
Right?
There's a price for everything. The other interesting thing is, and this is what I always, when I'm looking at somebody who's wanting to be a new wholesaler or somebody who's wanting to really get in the game of real estate investing, I always tell them, like, I'll literally bring them to the middle of a street and I'll stand there and I say, okay, look around here. How many houses on this block are for sale, right? And usually, you know, again, depending on the person, they'll turn around and they'll say, oh, look, I see a for sale by owner sign. Oh, look I see that one's, you know, for sale by a realtor. There's 2 for sale, right? And I always tell people, I'm like, wrong. Every single house on this block is for sale. Everybody has a price.
Yep.
Everybody. And keep in mind, if you live in your forever home and you're like, I'm going to stay here forever, think about it. Reflect on that. I bet you have a price. If somebody came to you, somebody with way too much money that was emotionally tied to your property and said, you know, let's say your house is valued at $500,000 and somebody came to you and said, I'll give you $800,000 right now. I want your house. Are you going to say no? You're like, no, I really love it here. I know I could pay off my debt and go live financially free forever, but no, you're probably going to say, hell yeah, let's back up, right? Everybody has a price. You just got to figure out what that price is.
Yeah. And if that price will financially work with what you need to do to make money.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's because like you have to pay somebody more than it's worth.
No.
What my point is that if you went up to a distressed homeowner and said, hey, you know what? I could give you $100,000 tomorrow for your property. Would that serve you? What would you be able to do with that? I'll take away your headache and you move on with life, whatever that price point is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's up to them to say yes or no.
That's right.
But if it's not an opportunity or it's not a thing that they've ever had asked of them before, they might not have ever had to make that decision.
Do you know one of the simplest things you can do too is like, for some people, they become crippled on the simple things like movers. So you know what? Find them a mover, make the arrangements for them.
Yep.
Right? Like think out, like literally wherever you come to this impasse, think outside, over, around, under, whatever that may be.
Just through.
Through. Sometimes it's
whatever.
Through. Yeah. Yeah. So how to find, oh, look at that. We got a question. Anonymous. Can I lend through a corporation?
Yeah, you can. So for us, it really doesn't matter where the money's coming from per se. Hopefully it's legit and legal. But if you run your own corporation, I got nothing to say. But yeah, our lawyers basically don't care who they register on title. So if it's through a corporation, they're just going to register your corporation on title of our property as a lender, and you're going to be in the first mortgage position for your security on title. So that's totally fine. We have lots of clients who lend out through a corporation. We actually have clients who do creative lending utilizing their corporation. So if someone has a corporation, they don't want to make a whole lot of money in. So maybe they don't want to make a 10% annual rate of return, but they do want to get their money working, right? So they might choose to lend money out of their corporation and do the ninja strategy against their TFSA or their children's TFSA. So all of a sudden they're making 4% on their corporate money, and then they're making 29% in their TFSA. Right? Again, anything's possible. You just got to figure out what is the best fit for you.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to go back to booking a discovery session phone call if you're interested in learning more or seeing how we might be able to work together.
So our lovely social media Ashley here that was featured in our upcoming newsletter. Is it out yet?
Yep.
It's out. So make sure you read all about this fancy girl. So we got.
She's going to read it.
Yeah, we got a long comment. Let me know when I can read it. So she's going to read it.
Awesome. So we got a great comment from Sean, who is a mortgage broker. So he is just making a comment on what you said about paying your mortgage down weekly or bi-weekly. And he says the accelerated weekly / bi-weekly payments are actually a bit more money annually versus making a monthly payment. That is why the amortization is shorter. You essentially pay a 13th month within each calendar year.
Yeah, but like marginally
more
like seriously, if you can't
expensive.
handle another $200 a year, really?
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So
Give up some beer, you'll be okay.
yeah, it's fine. So anyway, but I'm just saying a lot of people don't realize how much faster things can happen because in their head, they're like, I have to pay my mortgage monthly. I follow all the rules, right? Like think outside the box.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, and I ran the numbers and I literally ran it if I pay weekly versus if I pay monthly. And yeah, it's a couple $100 more. I can figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's the compound effect because your money, every time you pay weekly, it's literally that little bit amount that is less that is compounded, right? So it's a bunch of different things. But at the end of the day, figure out what works best for you. These are just advice pointers. Take it or don't. It don't affect me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the comment.
For sure. So how to find private money lenders to fund deals. Oh, okay. If you haven't listened to us for the last half an hour, the answer was in everything we said. Literally.
Talk to people.
Really, literally.
Yep.
Yeah. It. First of all, I want you to sit down and think, who has money? Well, let's see. Do you get your teeth cleaned? Is that person called a dentist? Think they have money? Do you go to a doctor? Do you think they have money? What about a lawyer, right? Like you're making this harder than it needs to be. You can literally think of probably 50 groups that have money. Then look at your circle and go, do I know any of those people?
How many people in your world have houses that are paid off or near paid off? How many people have RSPs or have money in savings where they're bitching about how they're not making anything and they're having such a hard time trying to get ahead because, the banks are not paying very well and their stocks went to shit because, I don't know, pandemic. And, you hear all these excuses. Literally, Alyssa and I were just picking up a couch from this couple on Friday.
That was fun.
And literally, they were like, what? We ended up talking to them for an hour. Turns out they're real estate investors too, because they have rental properties, but they're busy leading their best lives. They got 2 little ones. They, have this nice acreage they live on. And he's like, I know I should be buying more properties. I just don't want more tenants. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the exact reason that we created the hassle-free landlord program. And so then they kept asking questions and questions and questions. And so
hour and a half later.
yeah. So we were like, you know what? Honestly, this has been grand and great. And at the end of the day, if you want to book in a discovery session meeting, we would love to be able to meet with you guys and really walk you through how the processes work and see if it might be a good fit. And, at the end of the day, she's like, I should bring my dad too. I'm like, that's amazing because we have this really awesome referral program. So if you actually bring us a client and they actually invest, we pay you $1,000 for every closed deal. She's like, wow, that's amazing, right? So again, it's just word of mouth. So if you actually start talking about what it is you're doing, then all of a sudden that ripple effect just kind of, it just turns into a bigger thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you are interested in working with private money lenders, you need to make sure that you know all the rules and regulations.
Oh, for sure.
The Securities Commission is a big deal. So you want to make sure that you know how you're strategizing deals and if it makes sense for you financially and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, some people do joint ventures. We don't do joint ventures. We do different types of partnerships. But if you choose to do joint venture, that's a whole other legal structure and there's a whole bunch of other terminology in the background. We don't do those. So we have done 2. And for us, we just went a different direction because again, for us, we wanted to make sure we took all the risk away from our investment partners. And so that's why we don't do joint ventures, because in joint ventures, there's generally a shared risk and reward. And so for us, we were just like, it doesn't really work for us. I just want really happy investors who get paid everything that we told them that they were going to earn, and then they'll come back and do more deals. And that's the way we do it. So just make sure you know the rules of what you're doing. But literally, guys, we live in a very abundant universe, and there's money everywhere and opportunities.
And I mean, honestly, anyone starting out right now, you guys are so blessed with a thing called Google. Like what Rochelle's talking about, all of that stuff. You can start typing that in, getting all those definitions, getting all that terminology, right? Again, no excuses, people.
Just get her done.
Oh,
so,
15 minutes. Are we gonna?
Yeah, so we'll talk about next week's webinar. So next week, it's going to be on Monday, July 6th at 4 p.m. Sask time. So whatever that works out to, I don't like to do conversions because my brain hurts. But what is our next topic going to be next week?
Our next topic is entrepreneurship. So tips for a first-time entrepreneur, lessons we learned from starting a business, and value of a business coach.
Ooh. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how many people hop onto that one, how much interest there is. Because again, we are real estate investors, but more importantly, we are very kind of seasoned entrepreneurs, because some people don't realize that we don't just have our Epic Alliance Inc. real estate side of the company. We actually have our electrical side of the company as well.
Yeah.
And that right there is something that is kind of next level when it comes to, does it say 4 p.m.? Did you say 6 p.m. CST?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, that's wrong. That in that chat, sorry, that's the wrong time. So it'll be 4 p.m. next week. So at the end of the day, entrepreneurship, I mean, really, for the way I look at it is people are either wired to be entrepreneurial or you're not. It's not something that you can just turn around and one day you're like, I want to be an entrepreneur today.
Yeah.
Because if you are not geared up about the highs and the lows and just being willing to do all the things and get her done, and you are wanting the security of having a weekly or a monthly paycheck, guys, that just does not happen in the world of being an entrepreneur. There's the highs and the lows, and you see that diagram where it's like, life of an entrepreneur, and it goes from, point A to point B, and then in between it's like,
because it's true.
And that's literally how it is. And if you don't have a stomach for it, oh God, don't try. Please don't try.
Yeah.
It's, some people want to be just an employee, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we wouldn't
be where we are if we didn't have our team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. People who just want to come in, be the best versions of themselves.
For sure.
Bring their best traits and, get a paycheck as a byproduct for it. That's who we're looking for to help us grow our entrepreneurial businesses. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We honestly, here's a little story from the blast from our past. When we first started the business, we had this grand vision that we would hire a whole bunch of entrepreneurs and we would become an entrepreneurial army, and we would build out this amazing business
to help support other people to have side hustles and to help them get ahead further, right?
Yes. The issue with that, aka problem, is your business is number 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. So we spent about a year of hell.
Yeah.
And then from there, we really redirected and pivoted and decided, you know what? No, we just need amazing team members who want to do this and only this. And then they want to enjoy their spare time doing whatever hobbies
they love.
Yeah. Because, oh my goodness. Yeah. If we are not first of top of mind when it comes to doing our business, we need people who are super attentive to what is happening here. So at the end of the day, we're like, okay, that's definitely what we're wanting. So it's worked out really well since we pivoted. But again, we have had to learn. And I always look at myself, I've always been very enterprising since I was little, but I've never ran a business and I never wanted any employees, right? Again, I've admitted this before, I don't people all that well. And I like things being my way or the highway, and can be very bullheaded when it comes to working with people. So again, that's where Alisa steps in hardcore.
We honestly, neither one of us sat down and went, oh, we know how to run a business or the things. That's the key with doing anything entrepreneurial. You see a gap or you see a problem And you, as an entrepreneur, your job is to find the right person to fill that gap or cross it or, get it together, those kinds of things. Sometimes it's a skill that you have and a capability, but if not, those that understand this to their core, reaching out to the right person to get it done better and faster than yourself will accelerate as an entrepreneur 10 times faster. If you come into this thinking you're going to be the be all end all, again, why does creative financing work? Because you are putting together puzzle pieces, because you are gluing things together that weren't together before. Okay. And again, if you think that you are the only one with all the answers, you're going to fall on your face. The people we lean on, our team, there's lots of times we sit down with our team and, hey, anybody got any good ideas? Anybody got an idea on how this should look or how this should be presented? Because, our brains hurt today. Thinking much more right now isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Come on, give us something. What do you got? Right.
Yeah. And we always really foster all of our team members to bring ideas. And again, like we might say, oh, we've tried that before, it doesn't work. Or we might say, that's amazing, let's implement it, see how it works. So yeah, we have a comment here. So
Merv, what is the average or typical number of HFLPs and investors have?
So
Great
right
question.
now I'm actually just on the back end of the business trying to go back and restructure a bunch of stuff. So I just hired a new assistant. So Brenda started a few weeks ago. So we're doing a lot of catch up. Yeah. I manifested my own paralegal. Super stoked about that. And so at the end of the day, we're going back and trying to get all the numbers. I know roughly though. So on average, our number of average typical hassle-free landlord houses that an investor would have is 2. So traditionally, a lot of our investors have 1, and then we have a bunch that have 2, and then we have some that have 3, 4, 5, and our number 1 investor has 6. He's just coming back for his 7th. And so at the end of the day, we work with people where they're at. But usually, if you look at our typical investor profile, our investors would be doing 2 hassle-free and 1 fund to flip. That's on average. So again, generally people would want to max out their credit capabilities for getting hassle-free landlord houses. And then they're going to want to leverage their RSPs or home equity line of credit or TFSAs. And that's where they're generally doing at least 1 ninja flip. And
that goes again, cycles back to the creative finance. It's also creative because we create it around you. Mm-hmm. Again, the call that you would make, book, whether it's Bailey, me, Rochelle, whatever, that what you're going to get out of that is how to creatively put this all together for your best fit. Okay. That in itself is creative finance. That's what it's about. How are you getting the best bang for your buck for the situation? Period. End of story.
Yeah. So interesting stats. And I'm just working on this right now, but we're actually restructuring things to have our affiliate army. So our affiliate army will be launched in July. So expect to hear some stuff about it coming up in the next few weeks here, but that's what Bailey's position is transitioning into. So she's going to be the new affiliate coordinator, and we don't have all the logistics right now. So I keep on, I've seeded this so hard that I've had people coming back and being like, tell me the things. How can I help you with this? What is happening? And I'm just like, okay, I'll put you on the wait list. Just please be patient, because I don't want to go and give information that's incorrect.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just running the numbers for the data. So we're catching up all of our referral fees that we owe for everybody. And so as of end of June, we'll have everybody caught up. But basically we'll have paid out, and again, it's a big range. I don't know the exact number right now, but somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000 worth of referral fees since we've started our company. That's a big number. The other really interesting thing is our top performer for our affiliate partner, who's been with us since the beginning, has earned to date $120,000 in referral fees.
Just for talking.
That's not their side, like that's a side gig, man.
Yeah.
That's a side hustle. That's just the benefit of talking to like-minded people, and it doesn't hurt that they already invest with us too. So it's when you're already working with us and then you just happen to talk to the right people about the right things. And again, you're not tied to that conversation. You're just throwing a rope. You're giving somebody an opportunity. It's up to them if they decide to take it or not. You're not tied to that transaction. You're not there to just hustle and to get the money. You're there to basically share an opportunity that others might not have ever heard about.
You're there to serve.
Exactly.
That's it. It's really that simple.
Exactly. And that's why we are coining it our affiliate army, because the mission is really to show people that there's a better, smarter way to take back their financial future. And we are serving as many people as we can to help them with their financial futures. So
Right.
anyway, the basis is, at the end of the day, from this research, I know that the average investor with us does 3 deals in their first year. And again, that's where the numbers for the 2 hassle-free landlord houses and the fund to flip come from. And so at the end of the day, we know that that's on average. So think about it. And we're working on the stats for this too. But if you were going to share the opportunity with people and you brought 1 new investment partner every single month, so say you tell 10 people, and 1 person decides to jump on the bandwagon and get started to change their financial futures, then you do that every single month. You tell 10 people, and each month 1 person ends up investing, right? And sometimes people need to hear an idea and then they need to sit on it for a while. Some people take weeks, some people take months, some people take years. So if you go around and start planting all these seeds, it's wild how in a few months, all of a sudden there might be just a lot of fruition and a lot of people being like, I'm ready now, it's the time, right? But let's just say you go and you tell 10 people, and then that from those 10 people, your 1 person invests. Well, on average, in 4 months, that first investor is generally going to come back for another house. So you get tied to that person for life when they are investing with us. So every time they come back and do a new deal, you get another $1,000. So it's actually a pretty steady multiple stream, or another stream of income for people who are trying to generate multiple streams of income. So anyway, we'll get into that. We'll actually do, once it's a launch and stuff, we'll do an epic hour just breaking that down and just showing people how that is an amazing opportunity that could potentially change their lives. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, but we're gonna get winding down. Oh yeah, we have to do a tour. So we got 5 minutes left here or less. So this is actually the upstairs suite. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom suite that's in the upstairs part of where we toured last week. So last week we were in the basement suite here. And then this week I actually had a 1-day gap. So I was like, let's get into here because the person's checking in for a month. We have a lot of long-term stays. Alyssa, I'll take you on a tour.
Lucky me. So again, this is one of Rochelle's lovely facilities that has been decorated and hand-picked and hand-done. This is the living kind of eating area, as you can tell, and the team is over there, part of the team. Miss Bailey's on holidays, so she's out in BC, and some of you are actually going to meet up with her in Vancouver area, I believe, correct? Yeah, so I'm excited for that. So over here we have the lovely kitchen. You know, again, very functional, nothing, you know, crazy, cute, right? People want that homey feeling, and that's what Rochelle's gift is. She makes things feel like home. And then over here, I'm just gonna get by here. Beautiful zebra picture, right? Like, I love that. And then here is a fun room, right? Look at this little puppy, and you know, the bunk beds, and right? This is some of my favorite artwork she has, the animals, little flying pig in there, right? Gray theme for this house. This has a cute bathroom. Actually, most of this bathroom was already pre-existing. We didn't actually have to do much here. And so, like, the tub was all there, right? This flooring was actually here. We just worked with it. And, you know, it works. One of our very, very popular spaces that we have for people to come and stay. And they just love it here. And that's about it. Just a closet. But you can see the color themes and everything for 2-bed, 1-bath space. Some of our favorite size for people. And here we are, back to everybody. So.
All right. So do we want to wind up? What time are we up?
I don't know.
You have 1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. And
for sure.
We are gonna, I hope you guys are enjoying your Canada Day.
Yeah.
And, that's it. So thanks for joining us. And if you're watching
Hats
on the replay,
off to you. Hats off to you.
If you're watching on the replay, we appreciate you. And
yes.
have an epic day.
Stay epic.